Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I have uploaded anything for you guys, but today I am showing you my 5 favorite dungeons in Wizard101. And this idea was actually suggested by Sestiva Song over on Twitter. So thank you to her for the suggestion. Now let's get into the list. Number 5, first off, we have Atlantia. And this is one of the more overlooked dungeons in the game. It is a level 70 dungeon here in Aquila. You need to have done Mount Olympus to access this dungeon, and you need to have done Atlantia to access Tartarus. So most people just do Atlantia just to only get Tartarus 20 levels later. However, I think that people often overlook this dungeon because it's actually a lot of fun. Gear is not too memorable in this dungeon. There are some interesting boots, robes, wands here, but not quite as good as what you can get in Waterworks. However, there is a secret boss in this dungeon, the Sand Squid, in a shipwreck in this dungeon. And in there, you can defeat the Sand Squid. I recommend bringing a couple of friends with you. And you can farm the Sand Squid repeatedly to get your amber reagents. It is by far the most frequent drop rate of amber from a boss farming. Now, while this dungeon may be lacking in terms of gear, it is still a fun experience for you to try and solo. I actually did solo this on my life character. You can find the link up in the corner up there if you guys want to check that out. The cheats are not too awful to solo at level 70. And now let's go on to the next. Number 4 is Tartarus, which I had already briefly mentioned. It is the level 90 dungeon here at Aquila. Now, this dungeon, like Atlantia, is one of the more aesthetically pleasing dungeons. It's like underground in the realm of Hades. Also, Tartarus is a lot of fun to do with a group. It is a fairly long dungeon, and it's likely too hard for most players to be able to solo. But the rewards are better here than in Atlantia. A lot of people do go for the hat, robe, and boots that drop here. Also, there is another secret boss in this dungeon, Cronus, towards the beginning of the dungeon at the town in Pompeii. And in Cronus drops the Blade of the Felled Titan, a very useful athame. And Cronus also drops Amber. If you are farming Amber, you can check him out. And a very useful amulet also drops from Hades, the Amulet of Divine Interference. And now number 3 on the list is Mount Olympus. So all 3 Aquila dungeons are up here on the list. Now, Mount Olympus is a level 30 dungeon, and this dungeon has some of the best gear for your level 30 characters. It drops from Zeus at the very end of this dungeon. It's a fairly low drop rate, if I had to say so myself. But a lot of people do farm here for their Zeus gear at level 30. This dungeon also gives one of the best wands in the game. It's the Sky Iron Hosta. It is a 100% drop rate from the boss Ares' Savage Spear in this dungeon. It is a very useful wand that a lot of people use until essentially level 100. It gives a lot of damage. And it's overall a very good wand. So it is worth the run of the dungeon just for that. Now, like the other 2 Aquila dungeons, Mount Olympus also has a secret boss, and this one is Gladiator Dimacharius. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Correct me down below in the comments. This boss drops Amber, just like the other 2 secret bosses in Aquila. But this secret boss also drops the Enchanted Armaments pets, if you're looking for those pets. It's a very frequent drop from him. And the Gladiator Dimacharius also drops your Alpha and Omega ring, which in my opinion is the best ring in the game. You guys can yell at me about that in the comments below if you disagree, and I don't care. Number 2 on the list is Castle Darkmoor. And unlike the other 3 dungeons I've mentioned on this list, it is split up into 3 parts that you can do separately. So you don't have to do everything all at once, which is good because this dungeon is a bit longer than the other ones, and also a lot harder. The bosses here have some pretty intense cheats that will make it unsoloable for most players. However, the gear drops are quite good. There's 3 tiers of gear you can get, with the top tier being dropped from Malastare. There's also a boss that drops the best Athames in the game. His name is Yevgeny Nightcrawler in the graveyard. You can also get very good amulets from Shane Von Shane in the upper halls. And rings drop from most bosses, the 7% damage rings that is, and then there's 12% damage rings from the secret golden key boss, Aphrodite. And as you can tell, yes, Darkmoor gives quite a wide range of gear options. There's also a very high crit wand that drops from Malastare as well. So yes, you do get a lot of different gear options here. So it is a very popular farming spot for players in the triple-digit levels. And number 1 on the list is everyone's favorite Waterworks. Now, this dungeon also has some of the best gear for level 60 characters down here in Crab Alley in Wizard City. It gets the number 1 spot because it's a fairly easy dungeon to farm. There's only 2 bosses in the whole dungeon. Both of them have cheats, but the cheats are fairly easy to account for if you have a good team. And in between the boss battles, there's a lot of smaller mob battles to have to deal with along the way. And an even better and another really good farming strategy is to glitch the boss at the end to get him to respawn, so you don't have to start the whole dungeon all over again. You can just repetitively farm the end boss to get the gear you want. And that's a good thing because this dungeon is fairly long and it's not broken up. But it's bound to be a fun, memorable, nostalgic experience for you and your team. And it has some of the best gear that exists in Arc 2 of the game. And that's the end of the list. And I can tell some of you keyboard typers out there are going to point out that I left out the Wizard City Catacombs from this list. And the reasoning behind that is gear accessibility. If you've ever seen any of the recipes for these Dragoon gear sets, it's pretty insane with the amount of reagents you need to grind for. Those of you out there with full Dragoon sets, I applaud you because I don't have the patience to farm the enemies in the area for that long. Enemies there are also very hard, and the Vanguard gear drop rate is very low. Last I checked, I don't know if it's been updated in the last 2 years or so, but the drop rate is fairly low. And yeah, gear accessibility is the main reason I do not put Wizard City Catacombs on the list. Let me know what you guys think down below about my list. Let me know your list down below if you want to tell me. And I'll see you guys in the next video where I do a tier list of the worlds in Wizard101 and Pirate 101. Be sure to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys then.